everybody, Jeff Marshall here, GIT. Thanks for coming by. What I want to talk about today is a little bit of how to use some harmonics, maybe in a different way than you're used to using them. I'm sure maybe you've explored some different techniques for using harmonics, which is kind of a really neat and unique way of getting notes to pop out or maybe move up to another note, another octave or something like that. There's many different ways to address that. Of course, you have your kind of your open harmonics kind of sound, which might come from more of a rock type sound or something like that, or even more rock sound might be like your pinch harmonics, which are certainly very cool. But what I'm going to talk about today is a little bit of variation of that. This is something that might be referred to as harp harmonics, I suppose. And I'm just going to give you some few examples of how you can kind of get going on this technique and maybe use it in some creative and exciting ways. So the first thing I want to talk about is how I'm actually getting these harmonics to work, though. What I do is I basically hold my pick between my thumb and my middle finger, and that gives my first finger the ability to be free here. And then I'm kind of picking behind the note as I just tap the note above it, and it kind of gets this harmonic. I'll give you an example. If you look at example number 1, basically what I'm doing is I'm taking a really basic chord shape, which you could call A minor 11, I suppose. It doesn't really matter, it's just more to get the technique down. And it's just basically barring on the 5th fret here. So our left hand's pretty simple here. We can focus on our right hand, okay? So what we do with our right hand is we actually take our first finger and at the 17th fret, which is exactly 12 frets up from this spot here, which is where we'll get a nice harmonic here. What we do is we just tap, rest our finger on the top of that. We don't want to fret it. We want to just rest our finger there. And then behind it, you want to pick with the pick that is between these two fingers here. So you get something like this. That technique is done. Have you ever seen people do this kind of stuff? You're like, what are they doing there? You know, essentially that's what they're doing. Of course, there's variations of it, and there's ways you can kind of expand on it or whatever. But that's the basic technique. So that might be called a harp harmonic. So let's take that one more time. I'll just play the chord by itself so you can kind of hear what's going on here. Cool. So you can kind of work on that technique. Of course, we're really just scratching the surface. There's all kinds of neat things that you can do with it. But some time ago, I realized that when you actually just did one of these open string harmonics, let's say if I took an E string and I just did the 12th fret here, one of these type of harmonics, I'm sure you know how to do that. Just kind of tap the top of that string there over the 12th fret. It moves this note up an octave. And then if you did that same exact thing on the 5th fret, it would move that note up another octave. So I have an E note here. I do a harmonic at the 12th fret, it's another E note up an octave. And then at the 5th fret, it's another E note up another octave. These are certainly a little bit harder to get, so you got to be a little bit more precise. So I got to thinking, well, where is this note in relationship to my E? Basically, if I was to fret this note right here rather than play the harmonic, what note would that be? That was the question I was asking myself. And it turned out it's an A note. So I started getting my wheels turning a little bit, and I thought, well, what's the relationship between E and A? Well, it's a fourth. A is a fourth away from E. And so therefore, if I start moving things around in fourths, I might be able to get that upper octave that I get when I just do these open harmonics. So that's exactly what I did with figure number 2. Basically, I just take this A minor 11 shape and I move it up a fourth, which would put us into a D minor 11 shape. Now, if I was to play this, and this is up here on the 10th fret, by the way. If I was to just play this, just open like that, it would certainly be a D minor 11 chord or some other chord that you might know. This D minor 11. But if I tap those harmonics out in the exact same spot that I was doing before, I should actually get this A minor 11 chord up an octave. Let's see if that works. So certainly, so here's the first one. Now I move it up to a D minor 11 shape, stay right here with my harmonics. Yeah, exactly. So just all I got to do is move my left hand up a fourth and stay exactly in the same position with my right hand, and I should get that those octaves up another octave yet. So I got a really kind of a creative way of getting some really high upper register notes. So what I did in my next example, this would actually be figure number 3, is I just gave you something to practice to, a little melody, and I'm sure it's a melody that you've heard before. It's based around an A chord. The melody, if I was just to play it open, it would sound something like this. Basically, it's just an A chord, an E, and a D chord. Just a little melody. It just gives you something to practice. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just mirroring that with my harmonics up here 12 frets away. All right, so let's see what that sounds like. Okay, great. So using the logic that I just came up with, if I move that up a fourth, I should be able to play that in the exact same position here with my harmonics, and the whole thing should be up an octave. So let's move it up a fourth, and you'll see if I was to play it open, it would actually be transposed to the key of D now. But if I do the harmonics here in the exact same position, I should get back in the key of A up another octave. Let's see if that works. Generally what I do is I set my amp up so I have a little bit of overdrive. In this case I have quite a bit of overdrive, but I'm using my volume to kind of on my guitar to kind of control that, to see if I need to get a little bit more, I can use my guitar to do that. So it's just kind of a feel thing, you just kind of have to feel it out, but a little bit of overdrive on your amp certainly helps to get these harmonics to pop out for you. So that got to me thinking, so if I can take this and I can apply it to melodies and chords and stuff like that, maybe I can also apply it to licks and scale shapes and all kinds of stuff like that. So I started messing around with that, and lo and behold, it worked just the same way. So I'm just going to give you an example of that. I'm going to actually put that to like a pedal steel type guitar lick. So if you're looking at figure number 5, the basic lick is something like this. It's just based around an A major chord. And it's just kind of like one of your stock pedal steel licks. Okay, so I'm just got a little kind of a pedal steel bend here. And then I'm just kind of adding some other melodic tones to that. And one more time, just open would be something like this. So now I got a lick. If I mirror that lick 12 frets up, doing some harmonics, hopefully we'll get some upper register of that exact same lick, like an octave up. Let's see if that works. So yeah, it's the exact same lick here. I got another octave by tapping out some of the harmonics and doing this little technique with the harmonics, the harp type harmonics. So if I move that shape up a fourth, which would actually put me kind of around what would normally be a D sound. If I played that same lick here, it would certainly be a D. Be more of a D sound. But if I actually just stay in the same position here and do the harmonic thing, it should be back in the key of A. And let's see if we can get that to work. Once again, it's a little unforgiving. You have to be real precise, so I'm going to do the best to kind of get this clean. Sounds something like this. Okay, so that's kind of that sound or that technique, maybe in a way that you might use it in a country type sound, emulating a pedal steel guitar. Of course, we could do it any type of style, I suppose. Let's see if I have a blues type of sound we can do that in. And the next figure, basically, that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to play a little A blues type sound, something like this. Just mirroring an A blues scale up 12 frets here, and just kind of playing a little riff. So you can see, all I got to do is just take my shape, I move it up a fourth, that last little lick there, the little bend that I did here. I actually just transposed it to D, but I stayed here with my harmonics, and it brought the whole thing up another octave. So it's really easy way to get to those things really quickly. All you got to do is just kind of move a shape up a fourth and stay exactly where you're at with your harmonics, and you got that other octave available to you. So once again, thanks for coming by. My name, again, Jeff Marshall, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and hopefully if you come out here to Hollywood and hang out at GIT, you can stop in and say hi and maybe show me some of these licks yourself. So thanks again. Take care.